from a really wonderful family, and wonderful, secular, urbanized, connected to the world, fantastic family. I've been really blessed by that. And I went to a really nice high school that had an English education, through and through. And prior to that, I mean, there is nobody in my family that are musicians. Back in elementary, in 6th, 7th grade, I was into punk music, and we were a little clique of 3 friends. And the other friend had a guitar, electric guitar. The girl who I was platonically in love with wanted to play drums, and therefore I had to choose the bass guitar. That was what's left for me. And the other 2 are not continuing their musical journeys, and I just kept on it. And while I was practicing it, I was quite, I liked the autistic practice routine, actually. I sat for hours in front of the TV with a metronome and practiced my scales mindlessly, and that's why I got to learn how to play the instrument, play the bass guitar, and slowly got into music, actually. And I was lucky enough to have a wonderful bass guitar teacher who was also teaching the music class in my school, Yaşar Pınar, may he rest in peace. He was a big inspiration for many years for me. He was a big mentor, basically. And he played around a bit. He played around with some big Turkish folk names and pop names here and there. But my primary, I wasn't into jazz in the beginning. I got into jazz, I first started getting into music through rock and punk. And I went through, the hard rock era, and then into a bit of heavy metal. I loved Iron Maiden for many years. And then from there, I was introduced to the Canterbury scene and the prog music, which I dearly liked. And then afterwards, I was getting more into, let's say, jazz-inspired musics, from gospel to hip-hop, and I picked up the double bass. I didn't really like the American standard jazz or jazz fusion. I liked the jazz funk. And then through the Roots, the hip-hop band, I discovered the double bass, actually, and I loved the sound, and I was already playing groove music, and I picked up the double bass inspired by that. And after that, I was going around a lot in Istanbul too, because I didn't really take any formal double bass lessons, nor any formal education in school, in high school. I didn't do conservatory. But I was, in the first years of my double bass playing, I was going around to jazz clubs and trying to catch some of the local cats who were great at the time. Istanbul jazz scene is back in the 2010s. I think it had quite hope, and now it's a different and long story. I'm now exploring the scene again after so many years working exclusively in Europe. I started working in Turkey and brought AVA Trio last year for a really big tour of 14 shows. My primary orientation was rock music. Jazz was much later, and it was an interesting situation because I felt like through the rock and then prog rock and then funk music, getting into jazz, being exposed to jazz was sort of like a like a stepping stone, like as if I graduated from the other musics, and now I'm moving into something a little more complex, a little more artistic, which is the jazz. So it happened like this, and for a really long time I didn't necessarily like jazz. I wasn't into it, and then towards the end of high school, I had heard of Conservatorium van Amsterdam. That I heard of some people attending there, but I didn't dare to go for auditions right after high school. I mean, looking back at it, if I had dared, I might have gotten in because I was quite fast on the bass guitar. I didn't play any double bass back then. And I decided to continue, like in Turkey you don't have an option not to take a gap here and not to go to college. Necessarily, you either have to go or you have to go to university. Then I continued to sociology, which I lasted a year and a half attending school, and then my workload in Istanbul, I started really playing a lot. I was playing 4 or 5 nights a week in different bars, subbing for bands, some rock bands, some bands of my own, cover music. And then I lost interest in school, and it became more again clear that I just wanted to be a musician. And then I fell into a little depression with this realization, and then I decided I had let go of my sociology degree so much that I was already behind a year, and the venues that I was playing at, they closed down and the bands disbanded, so I ended up in a little depression for a couple months. And then I decided that I have to be a musician. I cannot, and preparing to have a really useless diploma as a safety net stopped making sense to me. I mean, it was really becoming painful to attend this school and stress about how long it's gonna take me to finish it. And then I decided, okay, I have to remove this safety net and just dive full on into music, and by studying it. And around those times I was playing with some friends that I met online who founded the band in order to practice to attend to apply for the conservatories in the Netherlands. So in 2010, my friend, the pianist Murat Cengiz, he went to Groningen, and then the next year I was ready, and with the approval of my mother at first. My father was not really supportive at first, but they basically allowed me to step out of college, to quit it completely, and to give my luck to apply and audition for the conservatories in the Netherlands. So that's what I did, and until the end of the exams, my father was still thinking that it will not happen, and I will probably be back to Istanbul and maybe looking for another study or suck it up and finish this. But I got into all the schools besides Amsterdam, and I chose for Groningen. And to be honest, to this day, 14 years, it has been the best decision of my life. I became a Dutch citizen. I mean, now, thanks to this education, thanks to this step, the world has opened. And if I had stayed in Istanbul, I really don't know. I mean, I definitely would be probably playing bass guitar mainly as a sideman and running after pop gigs, basically. I imagine that's how it would be. And now I'm running interesting, unique bands, and booking and loving this creative music sector. Yeah, this has been the best step of my life, that's for sure. Well, it was really not hard to adapt to the Netherlands, because I was already, living in Istanbul and experiencing Istanbul and Turkey in 2000s as an adolescent, as a young person. We were, absolutely part of the global community, I may say. And Istanbul was, and still is, was an exciting European capital, although, there are many forces that is trying to shift the axis, our geopolitical location to the east. I believe, at least the background that I come from is absolutely world citizens and absolute Europeans, one might say. So adapting to the Netherlands was actually easy, and I loved that I got, for example, exercise in my life via biking everywhere for the first time, because in Istanbul I was really not moving a lot and eating a lot. And being in conservatory, especially in those years, and also with some fantastic musicians from Serbia, like Lavko Kovac, who we played with many years, or Alexander Škorić. It was really, really inspiring. Many encounters, many gigs, and being in the same building with like-minded, fantastic musicians. Yeah, it was a really blessing throughout these 4 years in Prince Claus in Groningen. I didn't, because I was in Groningen, I was not really exposed to the Turkish diaspora. We are a small city in the north, where I still live, and the majority of the Turkish diaspora are down south. I rubbed some elbows subbed for a couple pop gigs, and played even my first paid gig in the Netherlands was a really psychedelic Turkish wedding close to Groningen. But I intentionally set myself up, or didn't even try or look for the Turkish diaspora. Because I was in Europe, I felt like I escaped that. Why would I come to the Netherlands to play the pop which I didn't want to play, that I escaped? So I really didn't have any interest in the Turkish diaspora. I had a couple of Turkish friends, like we played for several years after that with Murat Cengiz. We don't play anymore, he's a great pianist. Giuseppe recorded his recent album. I was happy where I was. And then already from 2013 on, I started playing around in Europe. And that first taste of touring, which brought me here, was really, absolutely inspirational. And from 2015 onwards, with 2015 I bought a van, and Günther one. And with that van we toured about 200,000 kilometers, and basically all the bands that I'm active with at the moment exist thanks to this kickstart with this fantastic method of transportation, the Ford Transit. Living in the Netherlands is absolute privilege. there's nothing more I can say. It's really you feel healthier in the Netherlands. If I was living, I mean, now I'm visiting Istanbul quite frequently. In the past 2-3 years, about like 10 plus times over 10 times a year I go back and forth. And so I came back to kind of being a local there, one can say. Even my parents don't miss me anymore because I'm there all the time. But it's incomparable. I mean, the headspace you have in the Netherlands compared to Turkey is incomparable. It really is much more relaxed to live in the Netherlands, and all the systems and structures regarding how you do business, where you live, how much you spend, it's all very streamlined and just helps you. I mean, the state in Turkey, the state is something you kind of have to deal with and try to stay away. In the Netherlands, I feel like the state is there for the people, and this is not something that you can say about many other countries. And yeah, already for 3 years I'm a Dutch citizen. I speak Dutch. I love it. I still live in Groningen. And yeah, I can't. I mean, living in Turkey is full of stress. I mean, there is a level of aggression that was never working for my psyche when I was living there as well. Yeah, human life is a bit more expendable in Turkey, and therefore people are more reckless. The society is much more reckless. Yeah, this may be physical recklessness and also psychological, economical recklessness. Yeah, a lack of good planning is a Turkish problem. Yeah, we started AVA Trio in 2015, and I believe it was Giuseppe approaching me with this proposal. We had, I'm not exactly very vivid about it, very clear about it, but there was like a project that Giuseppe had a track or so, and we had to record it for something. And long story short, it just happened. I mean, I was already, I mean, because of my, Turkish background, it's inherent this Middle Eastern sound and music is definitely more in my ears and more in my under my fingers through odd meters to begin with, for example. And I think Giuseppe approached me for this ethno jazz band, basically, and I think he already had something like a little presentation somewhere with Puriya Javeri, and then they asked to expand it. He brought it up to me, basically. And then we started playing together. Then we had our first gig already in a couple months after that. Yeah, it was at first like purely an ethno jazz project, one can say. And of course, over the 10 years and 179 shows that we did, it's growing, and we found another voice, basically. And Pino they were already friends with Giuseppe. They went back a long way in Puglia, playing in projects together. They were already friends, and we had one gig, I think in 2017 in Italy, where Puglia didn't want to come, and then Giuseppe asked Pino where we had a little rehearsal and played a fantastic concert. And right after that, basically, we thought, okay, there's something special happening here with Pino. We got along really well, and Giuseppe and Pino, they knew each other already. They knew how each other played, so they were already playing great together. And yeah, it's been an absolute privilege. I mean, we found the core of the band in 2017. It's gonna be, in 2 years. We'll celebrate, in a year and a half, we'll celebrate our Pino joining us. I didn't have any formal music education, and also growing up, you know, I grew up more on Western music, that's for sure. But of course, the Turkish music that we are exposed to day, in the pop, in the rock, has that Turkish sound, and yeah, that is of course created by the maqam approach to melody, and the rhythmic varieties of the instrumentation. So it's inherent. This music is inherent in every Turk, like how it is with Balkan music is inherent in every Balkan musician. But getting it under my fingers and being played, like playing music that is based on quarter tones and maqams, that really came through playing with Giuseppe, because although I had it under my hands, or in my ear to an extent, I mean, there are really very few Western or any. There are very few woodwind players that can execute the quarter tones and the maqams, and Giuseppe has studied this extensively, and he really knows this music, and not only harmonically, melodically, but also technically, as if he's able to execute the quarter tones, and he's a really amazing, big inspiration for me. Over the years, he's an amazing musician, great composer, great friend. And thanks to him, thanks to his research that he brought, and he knew that I could also execute it. So we started including, I mean, although our first tunes were very well-tempered, with maqam sounding Western scales, like the harmonic minor, for example, or a different kind of tetrachordal musics, let's say Locrian vibe. We basically, from that Western source, we started getting back the actual characteristics that give these sounds to this music, which are the quarter tones. We started introducing them actually not from the very beginning, because our first record, Music from an Imaginary Land, is quite well-tempered. We don't have it sounds Eastern, but technically, harmonically, it's well-tempered, and it's quite Western in the approach. And then with our next record, we started seeing that we are able to actually flatten these notes and give brand new colors to the melodies, flatten and sharpen, you know, the steps in the scale, and utilize this huge bibliography of Turkish and Near Eastern maqam music. So it was quite a development in our band's music. I was really not introduced to any type of folk music. Pop folk, yes, since it was on TV and in the radio, but like deep folk music and Turkish traditional art music, which is sanat music, the Ottoman music, I was not really exposed to it. I was not playing it back when I was in Turkey. Before I left for the Netherlands, I already had started playing with a great fretless guitar player who was 𝐂𝐬𝐚𝐿 𝐴𝐻𝐿, sorry, singer, fretless guitar player, who already kind of exposed me to the ethno-jazz side of things, because he was playing the maqams but over a very Western structure. So it was like ethno-fusion, and I was already playing and performing with him in Istanbul. So I was already exposed to that. He was also playing cümbüş and kopuz. So I was exposed to some of these techniques with the tapping, for example, şelpe technique it's called, or how this approach, this Turkish singing, the Turkish melody, how it sounds. I was already exposed to it and already kind of playing it. But besides that, my upbringing is totally Western, I can say, yeah. When we started AVA Trio, we were definitely in the direction of ethno-jazz. It was much more, ethno-jazz, world jazz. The lines were much more clearer. How we played was much more structured and less improvised. So we were not really able to explore some of the sound explorations that we wanted to go and explore together with Purya. And after Pino joined, we started becoming a bit more courageous in terms of improvising. And the new music that was brought in called for some interesting sounds, different research into sound and form and melody. So it fed each other, and eventually we find ourselves basically playing a handful of songs and improvising most of the set, and utilizing both the European improvised music, let's say, for a lack of a better word, cliches or approaches or attitudes, but we totally incorporate that within the practices of the Near Eastern approach. I mean, we would like, through the improvisation, for example, when we are playing a Greek-oriented tune, through the improvisation we create that particular moment in the taverna where all the plates break and there's a fight breaking out, for example. We also, through improvisation, I believe that we managed to imply and bring into the table that kind of a story line. And we really think this is an avant-garde approach. It's what kind of puts us apart as a band. And this Mediterranean avant-garde, I mean, a marketer, music marketing buddy of mine said that avant-garde is the worst word that you can use for purposes of marketing, which I agree, and I started even taking it off my booking mails at some here and there. But it really defines what we do with AVA Trio. It's a very, very accurate description. I don't know if it helps the future of the band or helps our business. There are different arguments about that. but it really does define what we do. And as you saw in the concert yesterday, I mean, we like giving it all we can, and we like surprising each other, and we like the quiet and the aggression and the ups and downs and all spices and all sounds, and then we tie it to really tight sections and beautiful melodies. So it is a unique band. I mean, I'm celebrating our 10th year. I'm actually proud of us, and I really think we did really good work throughout these years. Another defining characteristic of the band, another term we coined, was archaeomusicology, and that is an interesting, that I find even more interesting than the Mediterranean avant-garde description, because starting from our first record, Music from an Imaginary Land, this term was coined by a jazz critic after seeing our concert in Groningen, and he wrote, the guys are playing a music from an imaginary land in the axis of Italy, Turkey and Iran, so somewhere eastern Mediterranean, roughly, and that stuck with us. And also in the first record, there's a few lines of poetry, let's say, that I wrote, that describe the music as it's coming from a land with imaginary people, an imaginary land with its own culture, and in Tergu, maybe on an island, and that concept was brought through. In our second record was more of a collection of songs, but that we named it after the title track, Digging the Sand, as if digging the history and unearthing, some archaeological findings, and looking into the past, into the primitive times, was kind of like the direction. And then we released our third record, Ash, and when I let a friend of mine, Christian Kuhn, hear it, he said, this sounds like a Roman music, and it's 2 tracks, and that actually really stuck with me, and I really thought, wow, that is actually a great description. And then through looking back at it, I came up with this little story about that takes us to, because it's 2 tracks, 2 very different tracks. One of them takes us to Pompeii, and the other one takes us to Knossos of the Minoan Empire. Pompeii happened around, Pompeii happened in the Roman times with the explosion of Etna, and then Minoan Empire was in Crete, and they got obliterated by this volcanic explosion around 2.5 millennia ago. We don't know anything about the Minoans, not much. And Pompeii, we have a great idea how it was. So we went back to, listening to the first thing, I went a little digging also, and imagined that this was like the moments, the minutes or hours before the volcanic explosion, and we were in the villa of a merchant, a garum merchant, and that is the first track. And then the second track is a Pompeian, a Minoan priestess witnessing the volcanic eruption and trying to conjure a spell to stop the destruction. And because we cannot have any idea about how the musics of these societies were. We will never be able to hear back how they sounded like. But in this improvised 2 tracks, it's fully improvised. We felt like, it's really taking us back to this, to these instances, and the sounds were really the sounds that we created, the rhythm and the pulse. It's quite magical on this album, I find. And then the next album, the Great Green, our 4th, that was through because we had a collection of songs that had play on islands and that had the inspirations coming from islands, and we had again digging back into the history of the Mediterranean. I found out that there was no terminology for the color blue, and there is even some controversy whether the antiquity, the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians, if they were able to see the color blue. Turns out they could see the color blue, but they just didn't give the term to differentiate it. So they called, the Egyptians basically called it the Great Green, the Mediterranean Sea. They called it, this blue, they called it a hue of green, basically. And in this story, it's a mythical, fictional story out from antiquity, where a fisherman on an island is looking at the sea, at the Mediterranean, and realizes that this is a different color than the grass and the olive oil. Hence, it's not green. It must be something else. And he goes on a journey over these 4 islands and 4 destinations, and looks for the color blue. And our album, the latest album, Lune, it's coming out in end of November. This we recorded in a really special place, a conical structure. It's called a trullo, like a Apulian pyramid, a building that is used for storage. And it's a circular, conical building, and we recorded a really intense improvisation session that is based on a piece of Giuseppe called Sabbatical in the maqam, Sabah maqam. And this piece turned into a full album, basically, that we managed to play in one take without breath. And because of this special historic location that this album was recorded, we recorded in a trullo, and underneath are a system of caves where the caves were used as a olive oil factory until the Middle Ages and throughout the Roman times. And we imagined that, because the track, the album, basically the music, we split it in 6 sections, and it reminded us of the phases of the moon. And we imagined that there are olive oil workers working in these dark caves under where we recorded, and they only get to go out of the caves at night, where they are only exposed to moonlight, and where they perform moon rituals in this trullo where we recorded. It was really really acoustically, sonically, a really interesting, inspiring experience. And check it out, it's a great record. So we continue our archaeomusicology, imagining the histories, the sounds of the long lost civilizations. It's an interesting mental, how to say, it's an interesting exercise, we find, really. And yeah, this quest gives our it deepens our music, we think. Yeah, this kind of quest really adds another layer to our music, to what makes AVA Trio unique. And in the future, we are definitely going to be continuing this quest. Now we have a new repertoire featuring Aaron Horvath, and for example, that record, that collection of songs that we have, the new repertoire with cembalo, reminds me, I mean, like, evokes in me as a little story about an Ottoman soldier marching through Hungary and falling in love with a Hungarian lady there. And you know, I'm already, this time we are going to take it, I guess, more to Central Europe, and Hungary is a few hundred kilometers from the Mediterranean. Let's see. I mean, we will continue this interesting quest. Regarding our performance in Todo Mundo and all our shows, basically we play a wide array of concerts, one can say, but we are mostly we are mostly booked as a jazz band in the jazz sector. I would like to change that, and Todo Mundo was one of the handful of world music festivals that we had performed in. And I've been pushing for many years to bring, because I know that our music, our approach to world music can absolutely work on world music concerts and festivals. But already I've been pushing for many years, and yeah, many world music festivals say that this is jazz and it doesn't belong here, which I find unjustified, as you saw yourself. I totally think that we should play more world music. We should be accepted more in the world music scene. I mean, even in the Netherlands, for example, the World Music Forum, NL. I mean, for many years I'm begging them to put us in the directory, and they refuse. You know, they have never put us in the directory, which I find very bizarre. I really don't think we are just a jazz band. I think we play the same music everywhere. Doesn't matter if you are on a jazz concert or if you play a circus festival or a world music festival like Todo Mundo. Because I mean, there's a lot to find in what we offer. I mean, it's a really spicy, colorful palette of music. At times absolutely groovy, at times absolutely melancholic and emotional. And a lot of experimentation as well involved in it. And I must say, good musicianship. I mean, we are on top of our craft with Giuseppe Pino. I mean, I think we need. I feel like we are doing. I'm very happy with how we are doing with the band, where we are at 10 years now, 179 concerts, 20 countries, and of course we want to keep this up and keep giving people and ourselves a good time. I mean, we love touring, we love the band dynamics, and we are very happy with each other. You know, we keep and the music keeps us quite inspired. I mean, there are some songs that we have been playing for, since almost the very beginning, and we still love them and we still recreate them, and it has been getting so much better that even these old songs are always given a new life force. Yeah, I started booking already. I mean, I started organizing. I think my background, I mean, my parents have quite a lot to do with it, because they are both their own bosses, and they all did their, and still are doing, my mother especially, their hustle, running their own companies, their own businesses. And yeah, I have this organizational skill. I like it. I like that. Yeah, I've been a part of it, and I always felt, yeah, when you just wait out to get the call, then you end up waiting for way too long. So already back in 2009, 10, I was already like organizing and booking some bands around, my own bands, trying to play here or there. And then, yeah, I was also working in a studio that also, like as a studio guard kind of, that also helped me understand how it feels to work. And yeah, that skill basically I brought on and improved much more in the Netherlands, because I felt like, I mean, for many years, to be honest, after getting in and starting the school, and my parents basically supporting me, I felt like I had to reciprocate this support and, do the best I can. And also I wanted to be able to, I mean, I thought to myself, okay, if we are going to do this and be a professional musician, I mean, I need to make sure that, it moves basically. So I pulled on many strings, of course. I played as sideman many places, but keep on hustling for the business side of my bands and music. Just started increasing, and yeah, with having the first days of touring, I realized that although in the very beginning, I mean, for many years, we really didn't make any money. It was really basically many years of hobby and going around almost, one can say. And yeah, then I was doing the booking pro bono for all my bands, and I realized in around 2020, around the Corona time, that actually, I mean, I spent way too much time and effort in getting all these shows, and I decided that, okay, I mean, I demanded that from myself and from the bands, that this is seen as a professional work, and this is seen as an external work that is not only playing the gig. So yeah, I started my agency. I moved all my bookings under that name, Chilli Chill Agency. I thought it sounded good. There's a funny Turkish song, Chilli bom bom bom, chilli bom. I think I was thinking of that song. And yeah, Chilli Chilli, I thought it sounds cute and funny. And I only deal with spicy music, so I only deal with music that has a little edge, has a little spice, a color, And yeah, I thought that was a smart thing to do as well. I love the booking business. I love the music business. It's really, yeah, I don't know. We are a good scene. The music business of Europe, the music scene, where there is, I mean, already so little funding and so few money, in a way that it doesn't allow people to be so greedy, and everybody's doing this out of passion. Everybody who is in it is in it for their passion, And yeah, I mean, we could have just gone, and most of us anyways do other kinds of jobs and incomes, and we basically devote our life to facilitating and creating and presenting interesting music that inspires us, that keeps inspiring us. So it's a big privilege to be, to be in this sector. And I find that like it's been, I realize in the past years, it's becoming like almost like a bit of a dopamine addiction with the bookings that I follow, that I want to book more and get more shows for other people, for myself. Regarding cooking, I love cooking. I used to do a lot, and especially when I have a girlfriend, I cook. I'm the chef of the house usually. In the last 2 years I'm touring too much, so at home it's also, I'm not devoting much time to cooking lately.